I'm Jake, a wildlife photographer, and this happened just a few days ago. I've been taking pictures in the wilderness for years. I love the quiet and beauty of nature. The plan was to capture shots for an exhibit I wanted to hold. I set up camp in a national park, drawn to its dense woods. I've never stopped thinking about that weekend. I arrived at the site in the late afternoon. I unpacked my gear and breathed in the fresh, pine-scented air. It was peaceful. As I set up my camera, I heard rustling nearby. It was probably just a deer or a raccoon, but I felt this weird urge to look over my shoulder. Something felt uncomfortable, like eyes were on me. I shrugged it off and focused on my camera. That night, the woods came alive. I heard noises, strange twig snapping, and whispers. I pulled my sleeping bag over me and told myself it was just the wind. But I lay there for hours, wide awake. I thought I saw shadows moving between the trees in the moonlight, but maybe I was just imagining things. The next morning, I decided to trek deeper into the woods. As I walked, I noticed weird markers on the trees, strange carvings. At first, I didn't think much of it. Just a hunter's sign, I figured. But the twigs felt off. The same prickly sensation returned, as if someone was watching me. I shook it off and kept walking. I tried to get pictures of anything unique, but my camera started acting up. One moment it was fine, and then it wouldn't focus. Then it just shut off. I checked the batteries. They were full. I felt a chill, but told myself it was just a technical glitch. The second night felt different. The sounds were louder. I kept hearing whispers. I stepped outside my tent, flashlight in hand, trying to convince myself I wasn't scared. I scanned the darkness. The air felt thick. Suddenly, I caught a glimpse of something moving. Just a flicker, nothing I could identify, but it was too close for comfort. Then I heard it, a voice, soft but clear. "Jake," it said. My breath caught. I turned quickly, shining my light around, but found nothing. Maybe it was just the forest playing tricks on me. I stumbled backward, my heart pounding. The next morning, I found another tree marker, this one fresh. It looked like a warning. I remembered stories about hunters disappearing in these woods. I wanted to leave. I backed up quickly, feeling that overwhelming sense of being followed. As I turned to go, I glanced behind me. I swear I saw something or someone standing between the trees, watching me. I couldn't breathe. I know I need to go back. I have to understand what happened. But deep down, I'm terrified of what I might find. I returned to the woods 2 days later. Each step felt heavier than the last. I tried to shake the fear, but the memories haunted me. I parked my car at the old entrance and grabbed my camera, but I hesitated before heading deeper. What if I encountered whatever or whoever I saw last time? I walked the same path I had taken before, glancing nervously at the trees around me. The carvings were still there, some even more pronounced than before. I took a few pictures, convincing myself it was just misplaced nerves. These woods had always been my refuge after all. Half an hour in, I reached the clearing. The sun was shining through, creating a contrast against the shadows in the deeper woods. I felt a moment of relief, but it didn't last long. The whispers returned, drifting through the air like echoes. I thought about turning back, but my curiosity pushed me to stay. I wanted answers. Then I spotted something in the brush, a broken branch, fresh, like it had been disturbed recently. It made me uneasy. I moved closer, my heart racing as I scanned my surroundings. That's when I saw it. A small wooden figure, crudely carved, hidden under some leaves. It looked like a person, arms outstretched, as if in distress. It was unsettling, like it was part of a ritual I didn't understand. I reached for it, but something stopped me. An instinct told me to leave it alone. My gut twisted. I decided to take a photo, just to document it. As I lifted my camera, the moment felt charged, but when I pressed the button, nothing happened. My camera malfunctioned again, like it had in those first moments. I could feel panic creeping in. The eerie quiet returned. I turned to leave, feeling the weight of the air around me. That's when a chill swept over me. The whispers heightened into a crescendo, clear yet unintelligible. It was as if the forest was alive, haunting me. I walked faster, but the sensation of being watched intensified. Suddenly, a twig snapped behind me. I stopped short, heart pounding in my chest. I swung around, but only found empty woods. I was losing it. I stumbled back toward my car, desperate to escape, yet the instinct to look over my shoulder was almost unbearable. Then I heard it again.
closer this time. It sent a jolt of fear down my spine. My legs moved on instinct, pushing me forward as the whisper faded into the wind. But that wasn't the end. I could feel something lurking just out of sight. I reached the clearing where I had parked, but my car wasn't there. Confusion gripped me. I scanned the area frantically. Had I walked deeper than I thought? Panic bubbled within me. The woods felt different now, hostile, and alive in a way I had never experienced before. I had to get out, but the path suddenly felt foreign. The trees loomed over me, darker than before. Then I noticed something out of the corner of my eye, a flicker of movement. It was a figure, shadowy and indistinct, weaving between the trees as if it belonged to the forest itself. I froze, my breath caught again, but one thing was clear, I wasn't alone. The hunt had begun, and I was the prey. I took a step back, the balance tipping dangerously toward fear. Whatever was happening, I knew now that I had to confront it head-on.
As I summoned the courage to advance, I realized I needed to uncover the truth before it swallowed me whole. I took a deep breath and pushed forward, driven by the need to know what was happening. The shadows danced around me, but I could still feel that figure trailing not far behind. I felt the air grow colder as I moved deeper into the thicket, the whispers persisting like a chorus of ghosts. I reached a narrow trail, overgrown and slightly hidden. Something compelled me to follow it, a whisper of curiosity mingled with dread. As I walked, the underbrush crunched underfoot, each sound magnified in the eerie silence. I was convinced that whatever was chasing me was getting closer. Then, unexpectedly, the trail opened into another clearing. This one was different. It was littered with bones. Small animal skulls lay scattered about, intermingled with cloth scraps that looked like they had once been part of clothing. My stomach turned. I took a step back, the reality sinking in. This was a graveyard of sorts. I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched again. Then I noticed something amid the bones, glinting in the dappled sunlight. I moved closer, my pulse racing. A shiny object lay partially buried in the dirt. I knelt down and dug it out, revealing a tarnished locket. It felt warm in my hand, as if it had absorbed some sort of energy. Without thinking, I opened it. Inside was a faded photograph of a woman with haunting eyes. I shivered. Suddenly, a loud rustling echoed from the trees behind me, and I spun around, my heart racing. There it was, an outline in the shadows, taking form. The figure was tall, looming, thinned by the shadows of the trees. My instinct screamed at me to run, but my feet felt glued to the earth. "Jake," the voice called out again, this time louder, reverberating in my skull. It was the same voice I had heard before. The locket slipped from my fingers, falling into the leaves below. As it hit the ground, the figure stepped closer. My decision was made. I had to escape. I tore down the path, branches snagging at my clothes as I stumbled over roots. The whispers grew frantic, almost angry, as if I had disturbed something sacred. Every snap and crackle in the underbrush sent my heart into a frenzy. I was back on the main path, pumping my legs harder, fear propelling me forward. Just when I thought I was in the clear, another sound pierced through the chaos, a deep growl, low and guttural. I barely had time to register it before I felt something brush against my back. I gasped, adrenaline shooting through me. I broke into a sprint, desperate for the entrance, desperate for freedom. As I ran, the world blurred around me, the whispers crescendo to a deafening pitch, mixing with my own ragged breaths. Then a flash of movement caught my eye. I glanced back and saw the figure again, now just a few paces behind. My stomach dropped.
I picked up speed, my legs burning, until I burst through the trees and into the open air, straight into the parking area. But my car was still gone. I stumbled to a halt, panic crashing over me like a tidal wave. Where could it have gone? It felt like the woods were holding my escape hostage, and as I turned in every direction, I saw there was no safe path home. That's when I spotted the locket on the ground. It gleamed in the sunlight, but I had no intention of picking it up again. My instincts were screaming. Something in these woods wanted me to stay. I took off running, deeper into the forest, guided by a primal need to uncover what lay beneath. My heart raced as I pushed toward the figure that felt all too close behind me. I had to know what it had to say. I darted away from the clearing, the sound of my own footsteps loud in the fresh silence. The cold nipped at my skin, and the rustling quiet of the forest closed in around me as I ventured deeper. I didn't dare slow down. The figure was still lurking somewhere close, and every instinct in me urged me to keep moving. With every twist and turn, I felt a palpable tension in the air. I didn't know where I was headed, but I could sense the trees thickening around me, almost coiling like serpents, tightening their grip. The whispers followed, a sound that seemed to intertwine with the rustling leaves. They weren't mere echoes now. They felt almost like voices, mingling memories with warnings. Suddenly, I stumbled across another clearing, this one different from the previous. A large stone, weathered and adorned with strange symbols, stood in the center. It emanated an unsettling aura that sent chills down my spine. My breath hitched as I approached, and I instinctively reached out to touch it, but a primal fear stopped me short. I felt like the stone had eyes, watching, waiting. That's when I heard it again. Jake. The voice cut through the air, clearer now. It was almost pleading. It came from behind the stone, as if someone or something was hiding there. The fear that gripped me tightened its hold, but curiosity was a powerful force. I took a cautious step forward, glancing around to see if I could spot the looming figure. "Who are you?" I called out, my voice shaky and uncertain. The forest fell silent, as if holding its breath. No answer came, only a slight whistling from behind the stone. Then, in a blink, the air shifted. A presence pushed through the silence, dense and heavy. My heart raced, pounding against my ribcage. I backed away instinctively when I saw a flicker of movement at the edge of my vision, but before I could react, shadows swirled, coalescing into a human shape. "Jake," the voice came again, closer this time, filled with urgency. The figure emerged, a woman, not the eerie silhouette from before, but a real person. Her eyes mirrored the haunting gaze from the locket. "You need to listen." I froze, all rational thoughts slipping away. She looked just as troubled as I felt.
"What do you mean?" I stammered, desperation clouding my words. "You must leave this place." Her voice quaked, carrying an authority that compelled attention. "They will not let you go." I looked around, bewildered. Who were they? I could feel the pressure mounting, shadows lurking just beyond where the light yet reached. Before I could ask another question, a low growl echoed again, closer, more menacing. I scanned the tree line, heart pounding in my ears. Panic surged through me, and I realized that confrontation was inevitable. The woman turned and nodded as if she understood the danger lurking behind me. "Now!" she shouted. The urgency in her voice jolted me, startling me from my stupor. She darted away, beckoning for me to follow her. Without thinking, I sprinted after her, the growls intensifying behind us. As we fled, I couldn't shake the feeling that the answers I sought were slipping just out of reach. What were we running from? I had to know, but right now, survival took precedence. And then, everything went dark. I jolted awake, breathless and disoriented. The night pressed in on me like a heavy blanket. I could hear soft rustling in the underbrush, a stark reminder that something was still out there. The woman was gone, and I was alone again. The shadows danced around me, but I forced myself to stand. My limbs felt heavy, like I had been asleep for hours rather than a few seconds. Adrenaline coursed through me, and I took cautious steps toward where I last saw her. "Hello?" I called out, my voice wavering in the stillness. No reply echoed back. I turned, scanning the area. The clearing felt different now, less like a sanctuary and more like a trap. The stone loomed ominously in the dim light, its symbols seeming to shift with my gaze. I could feel the weight of unseen eyes watching me, prickling at the back of my neck. Then I heard it again, a low growl, different this time. It was deeper, more guttural. I felt the blood drain from my face. Panic swelled within me. I needed to get away from this place. But where? The shadows thickened, and the trees seemed to close in tighter. With a swift decision, I turned on my heel and fled deeper into the woods, fueled by instinct and fear. The sounds of pursuit echoed behind me. Paws, no, claws, breaking twigs and leaves. I didn't dare look back. I focused on my footing, jumping over roots and ducking under branches, my heart racing with each step. Then, as I ran, I spotted something glinting on the ground. I stopped briefly to take a closer look. It was a pendant, engraved with the same symbols as the stone. A sense of recognition washed over me, but I didn't have time to ponder its significance. I grabbed it and stuffed it into my pocket, hoping it would offer some clue later. Suddenly, I stumbled onto a narrow path. It was barely visible, barely more than a trail worn into the underbrush. My instinct screamed that it could lead me to safety or further into danger.
I hesitated for a brief moment before taking a deep breath and darting onto the path, mind racing with questions. Why was I drawn to this pendant? What was happening in this forest? The growling sounded closer now, relentless, almost taunting me. I quickened my pace, heart hammering in my chest. The path twisted through the trees, and I felt myself pushing into a deeper darkness. Mist began to roll in, swirling around my feet like creeping fingers. That's when I heard the voice again, softer this time. "Jake." I skidded to a halt. It was her, the woman from before. But something felt wrong. The urgency in her tone was gone, replaced by something else, something alluring yet eerie. "Come closer," she whispered.
beckoning me with a hand that seemed to glow faintly in the gloom. Fear warred within me. Was she trying to help, or was she the cause of my torment? I took a hesitant step forward, my heart caught between two worlds. Just as I did, a shape lunged from the trees, teeth bared, and I realized that safety might be farther away than I thought. I barely had time to register the shape leaping toward me before I hurled myself to the side, rolling into a thicket of brambles. My pulse roared in my ears as I pushed myself back up, forced to confront what was chasing me. The beast was unlike anything I had ever seen. Its eyes glowed with a predatory intelligence, and its long muzzle dripped with drool. It was a monstrous mix of wolf and something else I couldn't quite identify, something lurking in the darkness. Panic surged through me again, urging me a run. I scrambled to my feet, but the path was slippery, choked with roots. I could hear the creature circling behind me, its breath heavy and labored. The woman's soft voice echoed in my head. "Come closer," she had said. I wanted to trust her, but this beast was real, and it was hungry. I fled down the narrow path, branches slashing at my face. Each step felt more desperate than the last. The mist hung low, blocking my view, but I could sense the creature stalking me just behind. I knew I had to break free. Then something caught my eye, a faint flicker of light piercing through the mist ahead. Is it a way out? I wondered. My instincts battled the growing fear, but I veered toward the light without a second thought. The brush cleared, and I found myself in a small clearing illuminated by an unfamiliar ethereal glow. I barely had time to take in my surroundings before the beast lunged into the clearing after me, its outline barely visible through the swirling fog. In the center of the clearing stood another stone, similar to the first, though this one was covered in moss and vibrant vines. The symbols were different, glowing softly around the edges. The air crackled with energy as I realized this was a place of power, and within me, a frantic hope ignited. I glanced back at the creature just as it broke through the edge of the trees.
It hesitated at the threshold of the light, snarling and snapping its jaws in frustration. For a brief moment, I could see a flicker of fear wash over its eyes, but it wasn't enough to stop it from advancing slowly, cautiously. I backed away toward the stone, and that's when I noticed a deep crack running through its surface. Compelled by some instinct I didn't understand, I reached out and pressed my palm against the stone. An electric pulse zipped up my arm, and the symbols pulsed in response, synchronizing with my heartbeat. I felt a rush of information course through me, images of the woman, the beast, the forest, but I couldn't make sense of it. My thoughts spiraled, and I knew I had to act fast. Just then, a deafening growl erupted as the creature lunged again, teeth snapping dangerously close. The last piece of the puzzle clicked into place in my mind. It's not just a monster. It's hunting for something. My heart sank as I realized that something might be me. With a surge of determination, I pulled my hand away and prepared to face my pursuer head-on. But as I did, darkness enveloped me, and everything went silent. I found myself alone again, and the beast was nowhere to be seen. But that wasn't the end. The air felt charged, and something whispered through the shadows around me. And at that moment, I knew I was far from safe. I felt suspended in that heavy darkness, unable to move or think. The silence enveloped me, thick and oppressive, yet something in the air felt different, alive, almost electric. I took a deep breath, willing myself to stay calm. I needed to figure out what had just happened. As my eyes adjusted, the faintest hints of light pulsed gently in the distance, drawing me in. I felt a magnetic pull toward it, an urging that seemed to whisper to me. The idea of standing still and waiting for the beast to return made my skin crawl, so I followed the light. Each step was tentative, as I still felt the tension in the air. The mist wrapped around my feet like tendrils, slowing me down. I could hear faint sounds, like distant whispers, like the rustling of leaves, but nothing solid. It unnerved me. Still, the light beckoned, and I pushed forward. As I navigated through the gloom, shadows danced at the edges of my vision, elusive and teasing. I felt them watching me. I finally emerged from the dense fog into another clearing, this one even more mesmerizing than the last.
The air shimmered with sparkling motes of light, suspended like fireflies. In the center of this clearing stood an enormous tree, its twisted roots sprawling like serpents across the ground. The bark was smooth and dark, and bright flowers bloomed along its garnered branches, glowing softly in shades of blue and violet. I couldn't shake a sense of familiarity. It felt like I had been here before, but I couldn't recall when. I approached the tree slowly and reached out to touch it.
As my fingers brushed against the surface, a flood of emotions poured into me. Fear, sorrow, joy, all intertwined. I gasped as memories flashed before my eyes. Images of the woman, the creature, and visions of a vibrant world filled with life. But that was not all. Another memory crashed in. A scene of the beast standing beneath this very tree, teeth bared, low growls rumbling in its throat. I stumbled back, my heart racing. This place was significant, a nexus between worlds, and the creature was part of it. Suddenly, a rustle broke through the hush of the clearing. I froze, heart pounding in my chest. From the shadows near the tree, a silhouette emerged, a figure cloaked in darkness, face hidden. It wasn't the beast, but I could feel its eyes boring into me, studying me. "Who are you?" I managed to say, my voice barely a whisper. The figure stepped closer, the faint light revealing a part of its face. It smiled, calm and confident, yet the smile sent chills down my spine. "You've come to seek the truth," it said, voice smooth like honey. "But know this, not all truths are meant to be found." I wanted to scream, wanted to run, but something anchored me in place. I felt trapped between my need for answers and the growing realization that I might already be in way over my head. And just like that, the clearing darkened, dimming the beautiful light as heavy shadows pressed in. "Wait!" I shouted, panic seizing me. But the figure began to dissolve into the mist, fading from sight and taking my chance for answers with it. I was left alone again, suddenly aware of the silence that had returned. The tree loomed over me, and deep in my gut I knew I had to uncover the next clues. I would have to confront whatever this was, before it was too late. The air in the clearing thickened around me, a sense of urgency clawing at my chest. I took a step back, feeling the strange pull of the tree fading. I regretted not pressing the figure for more questions. Instead, I was left to face the vastness of the unknown with just shadows and silence. But I couldn't remain paralyzed by fear. I forced myself to look closer at the tree. Its glowing flowers gave off an odd warmth, and I felt drawn to them again, despite the lingering dread. Maybe there was something here that could help me understand. As I reached out again, the air shifted with a low hum, vibrating through my fingers. My pulse quickened. The flowers pulsed in response, as if they could feel my presence. Suddenly, I heard a voice, soft and echoing, drifting around me. "Every story has a price." I jerked back, scanning the area for the source. "Who's there?" I demanded, but the voice did not answer. Instead, the tree began to tremble, branches shaking, as if waking from a deep sleep. I felt the ground under me thrum with energy. Then I noticed something, a shadow creeping across the ground. My heart dropped. I could see it clearly now, a swirling mass of darkness gathering at the tree's base.
It moved with purpose, forming shapes that shifted and morphed. Shapes I recognized. Images flashed in front of me, a young girl laughing, a family gathered around a fire, and then a glimpse of the creature again, its eyes glowing, hungry. My breath caught. These were memories, but they weren't all mine. They belonged to the tree or whoever had spoken. I clenched my fists, feeling overwhelmed. I needed answers, but at what cost? "Come forth, seeker," the voice beckoned, now more distinct, as if it were drawing me closer to the shadows. "Embrace the truth and pay the price." I realized then that the clearing was alive in ways I couldn't begin to understand. "What do you want from me?" I shouted, anger edging toward panic. The swirling shadows rippled, manifesting energy that sparked and crackled. "Your story," it whispered. "Share it, and we will share ours." I hesitated, fear rising up my throat. Did I dare reveal my past? I remembered the woman, the sense of loss, the weight of the burden I carried. My voice trembled. I don't know if I can. Suddenly, the shadows lunged toward me, wrapping around my ankles like chains. Panic set in. I struggled, heart racing as the darkness threatened to drag me down. No! Let me go! Before I knew it, I was yanked forward hard, and my hand slammed against the tree's trunk. A jolt of energy surged through me, and I gasped as visions swirled, past, present, and a future I could barely grasp. That's when I saw it, the figure from before, appearing in the shadows before me once again. It lingered, a knowing smile playing on its lips, but this time, there was something different. I could feel its intentions shifting, darkening. "Now, are you ready to share?" it asked, and I knew whatever I would say would bind me closer to this place. I forced my jaw to move, trembling with fear. No longer just the observer, I was about to become part of something much larger, and there was no turning back. The shadows pressed against me, tightening their grip. I felt the warmth of the tree beneath my palm, but the chill of the darkness encroaching around me. The figure watched, and I knew I had to say something. My heart raced as the truth fought its way to the surface. Okay, I'll share. Just let me go," I stammered, the words tumbling out of my mouth unbidden. The shadows paused, as if waiting for my next breath. The figure nodded, and I felt a push, a faint release from the binding darkness. "Begin," it urged, the tone now almost gentle. I swallowed hard, my throat dry as sandpaper. There was no turning back. I couldn't avoid the truths of my past any longer. I lost someone," I began, my voice trembling. "My sister. We were out hiking. We heard strange noises, and..." The memory hit hard. I saw her laughing one moment, then the dread of the unknown creeping in. Then she just disappeared. As I spoke, the air thickened again. The darkness seemed to hum, swirling closer, wrapping me in its grip.
I didn't understand why I felt compelled to continue, but something urged me on. I should have paid attention. I should have looked harder. It was my fault. Tears welled in my eyes. I didn't want to revisit this pain, but the clearing demanded it. The shadows began to shift again, forming into something more substantial. I squinted through the gloom, heart pounding as I realized they were taking shape, a silhouette emerging from the dark. It resembled my sister, a ghostly image that flickered like a damaged film reel. "Do you see her?" I cried, pain lurching in my chest. "I need to find her." The figure nodded slowly, and the voice echoed around us. "You've revealed the cost of your heart's burden. The truth must always find its way, but it carries a weight." A new sense of dread enveloped me. "What do you mean? What weight?" The figure stepped closer, and just as before, its smile vanished, replaced by something darker. "Our stories are bound together now. Her absence, your sorrow, they're connected to this place." Suddenly, the image of my sister flickered out, replaced by the haunting faces of others, hunters just like me, who had seen something beyond reason, something that made them tremble. Whispers of their encounters filled my ears, glimpses of the inexplicable, sightings of the creature with glowing eyes, stories they couldn't shake. "Do you want to join them?" the figure questioned, its voice weaving through the images. "To discover the truth behind your loss?" I felt a swell of anger mixed with desperation. "No! I want my sister back. I don't want to become part of this." The shadows writhed at my outburst, the atmosphere shifting dangerously. I pushed back, trying to tear my gaze away from the figure. And then the light from the tree flashed brightly, searing my eyes for a brief moment. When I regained my sight, the clearing felt different, and I knew something had changed. The air was thick with the scent of decay now, and I swore I could hear low growls emanating from the darkened edges of the grove, growing closer. "Listen well, Seeker," the figure warned, its voice now low and sinister. "Your sister's fate intertwines with the dark history of this land. If you wish to find her, you must dive deeper into the shadows." And just like that, the shadows surged forward, biting at my heels, pushing me toward an unknown descent. I stumbled, feeling the grip of fate tightening around me. Then everything went dark. I awoke with a start, the ground cold beneath me, and an unsettling sense of disorientation swilling in my mind. I laid there for a moment, trying to grasp my surroundings. Silence pressed in like a smothering blanket, and the air carried the faintest scent of damp foliage.
It took me a moment to realize I was no longer in the clearing. Panic surged as I pushed myself to my feet. The surroundings were unfamiliar and eerily quiet, illuminated only by a weak light filtering down from above.
I was deep in a cavern, the texture of the earth beneath my fingers rough and gritty. The whispers had faded, but I could still feel that tingling sensation in the air, an electric charge that set my hairs on end. As I shook off the remnants of confusion, I was suddenly aware of vision beyond this place, flickering shadows dancing against the cavern walls. My heart raced as I stumbled deeper into the darkness, recognizing the urgency of my situation. I had to find a way out, but where was I? And then I heard it, a low growl echoing from the shadows behind me. My breath caught as I spun around, adrenaline flooding my senses. The creature, the one I had escaped, was hunting me again, drawn deeper into this unknown place. I felt my survival instincts kick in, and I took off into the dark corridor ahead. The path twisted and turned, and with each step I took, I could feel the weight of unseen eyes watching me. The growling followed, echoing behind me, no longer just a fear, but a looming reality that urged me to run faster. I rounded a corner, scarcely glancing back, unwilling to confront whatever monstrous thing stalked me. But as I sprinted, I heard something else, a voice, familiar but ethereal, echoing through the stone walls. Jake! The tone was softer, almost pleading. Was it the woman? Before I could question it, something lunged at me from the darkness, but I didn't stop to examine it. I darted forward, heart hammering in my chest, until I stumbled into another small opening. This one felt alive with energy, vibrant and sharp as a crackling flame. The faint light was coming from the walls, glowing with the same symbols I had seen before. They pulsed gently, as if urging me onward, offering a possible sanctuary. The growl reverberated behind me, echoing through the cavern. I felt cornered. Without thinking, I threw my hands against the symbols, pressing down hard. A flash of warmth surged through me, unlike anything I had ever felt before. The symbols beneath my palms flared to life, glowing brighter than ever, and the growl dissipated into an ear-splitting silence. Time seemed to stand still as the light washed over me, illuminating the cavern in shades of blue and gold. A figure emerged from the brilliance, a familiar silhouette, the woman from before. Her expression was strangely calm, yet I felt a depth of emotion in her eyes. "You found the heart," she said simply, her voice echoing in harmony with the pulsing symbols. "But this place is a crossroads. Ensuring your safety comes at a cost." "Cost?" My voice trembled. "What does that mean?" "The stories that bind you to this forest run deeper than you know," she replied, her eyes locking onto mine. "You must choose. Confront the darkness that seeks you, or let go of your past." In that moment, a wave of realization crashed over me, the weight of my sister's disappearance pressing heavily on my conscience. Did I want to become a part of her story?
The urge to run gripped me anew, but I hesitated, weighing the options. Suddenly, my senses sharpened. The growling echoed once more, louder, drawing nearer. I had no more time to ponder. "I want to find her," I shouted back at the figure, desperation spilling from my words. "Whatever it takes." She nodded slowly, a hint of sadness in her expression. "Then you will face the truth. But be wary, Jake. It may change everything." As the growling reached a feverish pitch, the figures in the light shifted. It was as if the essence of the forest took form, images of my sister and the past swirling around me. I felt myself being pulled toward the darkness. In a blink, I was back in that small clearing, the shadows thickening. The creature loomed before me. "Jake," it growled softly, but now it was different. Somehow the urgency in its voice transformed into something mournful. "You must discover what binds us." With a resolute breath, I stepped forward. I realized this wasn't only about confronting my own fears. It was about unraveling a shared fate woven into the very fabric of the woods. My heart raced as I took another step, hoping that the path ahead would reveal my sister and the haunting truth entwined within this dark wilderness. And as the shadows closed in again, I knew one thing for certain. Whatever lay ahead, it would leave me changed forever. I stepped boldly into the unknown, feeling the pull of fate guiding me onward.